Hello, and welcome to American Heron Wargaming. This is a battle report for Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Today's scenario is called the Enslaved Tech, and it's from the game's AI Handbook, which came out in 2018. It's kind of crazy that there are scenarios from way back when that I still haven't actually tried out, so I figured I'd give it a go. The concept behind this scenario is that an enslaved tech has escaped from Super Mutant captivity and is trying to avoid being recaptured. He's hiding in one of these investigation markers which have been distributed across the map. For the first phase of the game, each side is trying to find which marker hides the tech. For my team, I brought in the Hollywood Heroes Finale Edition. Lucy leads the group with the Commander perk. She's backed up by the Ghoul and CX-404. They're all using their Vault-Tec approved profiles, so all combined the force is 337 caps. Searching for the tech are two Super Mutants with assault rifles, nail boards, and Super Mutant light armor. They're each paired up with a regular Mutant Hound. They're led by a brute wielding a sledgehammer and wearing Super Mutant heavy armor. Each side got set up in opposite corners. Normally, models can look at investigation tokens at their awareness range. However, in this scenario, my models are limited to yellow range, and the Mutant Hounds are limited to red range. Regular Super Mutants and the brutes can't search. Since I had fewer models in turn 1, I had the advantage, so I opted to make the AI go first. For the first phase, the AI of the regular Super Mutants is just to defend the Mutant Hound that they're assigned to. So when this guy got the first AI activation, I figured that he'd just move up a little bit and prepare. Lucy was up first for the survivors. She ran up to check a marker around a corner, but did not find the tech there. The first Mutant Hound activated and searched 1, then 2 different hiding spots, fortunately not uncovering the hidden tech. CX-404 was up next, and moved closer to Lucy to grab an action point from her Commander perk, which can be used for a quick move action. With all that extra move distance, she was able to check 2 more potential hiding spots. At this point, most of the easily accessible ones had already been uncovered, which meant that neither side was going to get a quick advantage over the other. The brute moved up to get ready to charge into the advancing survivors. Then the ghoul, also getting an action point from Lucy, advanced up as well, but couldn't get in range to see the closest investigation marker. The other Hound and Super Mutant made a beeline for the uncovered markers, but couldn't get to them this turn either, which was a wrap for turn 1. There were 2 remaining markers you can see, plus one that's hidden behind that building in the northwest. So we moved into turn 2. CX-404 was first up for the survivors, and wanted to check this token quickly. If this was the tech, I was going to need to reposition fast. So 4 moved up just close enough to reveal the token, and it wasn't the tech. Then I decided to have her push up on that side anyways to come around the mutants for a flanking attack. The first Mutant Hound went behind the building in the northwest to check the token there. It wasn't the tech either, so there was only one option left. With its second move, the Hound was just able to reveal the final token. The tech was on the board. Now priorities changed. The tech is under control of the survivor player, which is me, until a Super Mutant is able to get within presence range and perform a presence check. After that, then it would be under the mutant's control. The survivors have to get the tech off the board via anywhere within black of the mutant's starting corner, so we needed to push through. However, that wasn't going to happen if the tech got controlled by the mutants, so I activated him first and ran him as far away from the mutants as possible to buy time for violence to get the job done. Which was good, because if I hadn't, then the brute definitely would have gotten into range. Fortunately, as it was, he just pushed up to threaten the survivors. Lucy went next and completely whiffed her shot. At least she'd get the okie dokie bonus next turn. On the other side of the board, the lone Super Mutant advanced and lanced CX-404, blunting her plans for a flank attack. Then the ghoul drew down on the brute, his first shot knocking 2 damage through. The second was massive, 5 damage, and with only 1 blocked by armor, it got 4 home. Then, with a quick action from Lucy, the final shot also landed, dropping the hulking wall of green muscle. That was one major problem dealt with quickly. If he'd managed to get into our squishy humans, it would not have gone well. With that though, the survivors were finished activating. One of the Mutant Hounds moved and charged the ghoul, and the other mutant took a long-range shot at Lucy, but missed, which drew turn 2 to a close, and led us to turn 3. With the tech joining the survivors and the Super Mutants losing the brute, they were actually able to claim the advantage this turn, which meant that a Mutant Hound-shaped missile slammed directly into Lucy, doing 2 points of damage to her. On the other side of the field, CX-404 charged into one of the mutants. It tried to take a reaction shot, but even with a -2 on the effect die, missed. Unfortunately though, so did 4's attack. The Super Mutant opted to attack back right away, and its first swing was a critical failure. The second swing connected, but only with a base damage of 1 getting through. Not wanting to pull away from a prepared Mutant Hound, which could get a parting attack and then recharge into her, Lucy opted to fire her syringe gun into melee. The first shot did hit, and got a point of damage through, but didn't trigger any other effects. Her second shot was also a wide miss. The reaction attack from the Hound landed, breaking Lucy's arm and doing 3 damage. And then I realized that she only has 4 total HP, so she was actually downed already. The other mutant hound who charged the ghoul made its first chomp, but missed. The second one did land though, but with the ghoul's armor holding fast, he only lost his strong armor token. Firing back, the ghoul's first shot got 3 damage into the hound. And then the second one did 3 more, taking it down. He was going to need to keep taking out at least 1 enemy per turn if we were going to pull this off. As the Super Mutant's current objective is to collect the tech, this one opted to use its whole turn to double move up. So then I had the tech scoot as far away as he could. Though in retrospect now, I realize that he should have been moving a red distance, not yellow. Whoops. That was the end of turn 3. Lucy and one of the mutant hounds had gone down, but there were still 2 mutants and a hound hunting after the tech. Turn 4 was up next, and the ghoul needed to put in some work. Unfortunately, his first shot into the Super Mutant was a rare miss. The second one connected, but only got the baseline 2 damage through. I'd also realized that the ghoul's ability to add a bonus die to an attack was only supposed to be once per turn, so he might have been getting a bit more lethal in the previous turns than he should have been. On the other side of the board, the Super Mutant started swinging away with his nail board into CX-404. The first swat was a hit and broke through all her armor, but only added 1 damage. The second swing was a crit, but with no effects on the dice pool, 4's armor roll of 1 kept her holding fast. For my next activation, I had the freed tech start sneaking around the terrain. He could take the long way around and maybe scoot past the tied-up Super Mutant. The remaining mutant hound wasn't an issue, as it can't use its presence check on him, and would simply protect him until the end of the game. The ghoul was not so lucky. The mutant hound's ferocious charge put up 5 damage and broke his arm too, so any further attacks would be at a -2 penalty. Not that any more would come though, as the Super Mutant's follow-up swing got 3 damage rolled, so even with the ghoul's perfect armor block, he still took his final point of damage and was downed, which meant that everything was down to CX-404. Unfortunately, her first bite was a miss by just 1. The second one was a good chomp though, getting 3 damage, half the mutant's health in one go. Another one like that would be very much appreciated. So even though the rescuers were getting a bit battered, the game wasn't over yet. The victory condition for the scenario is for the tech to escape off the board on the Super Mutant setup side. That's it. So if he can scoot around while CX-404 stalls the remaining mutant forces, we could still pull out a win. So it was on to turn 5. Time for CX-404 to put in the work. But not like that. A crit fail was not an ideal way to start. The second attack was also a fail. This was especially bad, because if 4 could have downed that Super Mutant, she would have healed 2 HP with her special ability, and she needed any extra help she could get. The mutant hound wasn't bothered at all with the tech, so it double moved back to be ready to charge into CX-404 next turn. The tech continued his trek around the board, pursued by a Super Mutant. The other Super Mutant continued his wild swings at CX-404. The first nail board attack was a critical hit and broke all the armor, putting a single base damage through though. But now CX had only 1 HP left, which fell in the next attack. It ended up doing 3 damage and an armor break. Youch. Tough break for the pooch. So with all the would-be rescuers downed and licking their wounds, it was up to the free tech to escape on his own. He tried to scoot up the side, but with the Super Mutants now unentangled, they were able to set up a pincer maneuver on his location. The scenario rules say that he remained under my control as long as there wasn't a Super Mutant within yellow range of him. And with the door shut on each side, there was no way for him to break out, which didn't put him into cowering range. So I didn't bother rolling out how many turns it took for the Super Mutants to recapture him, but they eventually would, and led him back to their camp to an unknown, but likely grisly fate. Lucy was sad that they were unable to protect the poor man from those hideous beasts, but like the ghoul says, thou shalt get sidetracked by bullshit every time. So with nothing left to do, the wounded heroes soldiered on to their main objective. Overall, I think this was a pretty rough go for the survivors. Lucy having only 1 armor and 4 health for 170 caps is pretty pitiful. I was able to run her trank gun this time now that the card images have been fixed, but honestly I wish that she just had the 10mm pistol. CX-404 just had a bad break. That happens sometimes with the dice. And the ghoul was a champ of course, though that may have been partially because I was giving him a few extra effect dice than he deserved. I did like the scenario though. It felt very thematic, and the fact that there was still a glimmer of hope even when most of the survivors were down kept it tense and fun. Maybe I'll run it again sometime with a more balanced crew. We'll see. That's it for now. Stay safe out there in the wasteland.